Hello again, everyone. Today we are going to discuss plugins and widgets. The first thing you need to know is the difference between a plugin and a widget. Plugins are added little programs to WordPress that give extra functionality. As an example, if you wanted to have your Flickr photo stream in your WordPress blog, you could get a plugin that would take all of your photos from Flickr and put them into some sort of photo gallery. Whereas a widget is a little program that has a specific function, like, as an example, if you wanted to show your Twitter feed on your website, that would be a widget. Let me show you how it is done. Let's start off with plugins. Plugins are here under the Plugins tab. One thing that you should know is that although widgets are not plugins, for some reason, when you want to add a widget, you're doing it in the same place as you would a plugin, but they are controlled in different places. And I'll show you how that all works in a second. So let's just start with the plugins. So you can see that the plugins are all listed here. Now this page only shows the plugins from the point of view of what you have and whether they are activated, which means that they're on, or deactivated, which means they're off. You can see here Akismet, which is a plugin for spam, is not activated. You would click activate to activate it if you wanted to, whereas Backup Buddy is the backup software I use, and it is activated, and to click deactivate, you would deactivate it. But the way that these plugins are configured is not done through this screen. If they need a configuration, they are done through their own configuration item. Now, one word of warning. These configuration items can be in many different places. As you can see here, Semantic Configuration, which is a plugin, is under Plugins. Backup Buddy is at the bottom, and you could also find configurations under Settings or under Tools. So just a word of warning, when you install your plugin, it's always a good idea to check on the developer website if you have trouble finding out where your configuration is. Let me show you how you would add a new plugin. Click Add New, and you get a search box. Now the search box is actually a keyword search and searches through thousands of plugins. I'm going to use a plugin called Post Teaser. Now Post Teaser is a plugin that supplements the More tag. If you recall, when we were doing blog pages and blog posts, in order for a blog post not to run down the page, we put in a little More tag. What Post Teaser does is it does that More tag for you automatically. If you don't have it in your system, then I suggest you put it in your system. So let's do that. You search on the term Post Teaser in this case, and you get a list. The top one is Post Teaser. Now, before I install it, let me give you another word of warning. You can use this window to search for plugins. And as you can see, there's Post Teaser, which is the one I'm going to install, but there's a lot of others, and you can search on any keyword you want. But just remember, you cannot see from this window what plugins are new and what plugins are old, what plugins are still being utilized, what plugins are still being supported, and which ones aren't. So if you do see plugins here, you should click the details and go to the website of the person just to make sure that it's supported by the latest version of WordPress, which at this time is WordPress 3.3. An easier way, which I'll show you another time, is to actually go to particular websites that make it a lot easier to find the plugins. Then come here, like I've done with Post Teaser, and just install it. So let's install it. And now it's installed, but you also need to activate it. One of the nice things about WordPress is that the plugins and widgets, if for some reason they don't work or you did choose one that's older, you can deactivate it and it won't really mess up your system. So it gives you an opportunity to try things. If they work great and you like them, that's fine. And if you don't, you can deactivate them and then you can ultimately delete them. Post Teaser is installed. Its configuration is here under Settings, so you can see what I mean. And I'm not going to go into the details of Post Teaser right now. I will do another video or written blog about certain plugins that I think are good, and we'll be doing plugin reviews throughout the course of the year. But if you go back to the blog page, let's refresh it. you can see now that instead of the more tag, there's this other line. That line that says read full post is a customizable line, so you can choose whatever you want to go in there. This is the default. Now let's take a look at widgets. Widgets are installed in exactly the same way, but they're in a totally different place. They're under Appearance, Widgets. Widgets tend to be, for the most part, and it depends on the template, but they tend to be things that work in sidebars or in footers, places that are outside of the normal content area of your WordPress. The way that we've set up these templates is the home page and the actual pages themselves are full width and they don't have sidebars, but the posts themselves have sidebars. In this case, I'm using the latest Twitter widget. I'm using my Twitter username, and I can show the number of tweets that I want in and whether I want a Twitter icon, etc. In this case, I've also chosen to use a test news feed. Most of what is here comes with WordPress. You can have a search, or you can just add arbitrary text if you want. So let's take a look. So now you can see this is the post, and on the side there's a news feed, and there's the test Twitter feed. And if we go back, and let's say we wanted to add just arbitrary text, you drag the text box over, and it gives you a text, and we could say Bloggorious, and then the message could be and then save it. And then if we come back, you can see that the text is now underneath the test newsfeed. You can continue down and add more widgets if you like. You can also move them around just by dragging them. So I'm not going to go into the specifics of all of these widgets because there are quite a few, but I will go into some of these later. You can easily play around with them because if you don't like them, you can just get rid of them. So if we didn't want the text Bloggorious anymore, you just click on it and hit delete, and it disappears. That's it for now. I'll go into some of these more in depth later, but thank you for coming again.